A new girl is taken and new suspects are potentially revealed, but are we any closer to solving this mystery?
I think so.
All this in our spoiler review of episode 4 of Mare of Easttown.
Let's do it. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we are going to be reviewing episode 4 of Mare of Easttown, HBO Max's new TV series, and this episode is titled Poor Sisyphus, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but this is going to be a spoiler-heavy review, guys, so if you have not yet seen this episode, or if you have not yet seen this series at all, please stop this video, go watch the series up to the end of episode 4, and then come back and check out our first review, and then check out this one as well. And yeah, we're gonna go in depth in this. We're gonna talk about the characters. We're gonna talk about the new suspects, the past suspects, the new girl that was taken, just all the things that happened in this episode, because there was a ton of stuff.
There was a lot, yes. A lot going on for sure.
Yeah, definitely a lot of things that happened in this episode. But before we get into it, guys, we want to ask that if you have not yet subscribed to Married with Media,
what are you waiting for?
Click that subscribe button. We would definitely appreciate it. We just hit over 100 subscribers this morning, which is freaking incredible and awesome. And yeah, we're hoping to get to 200 soon. So
yeah, hit
that subscribe button. We do all kinds of awesome TV content on this channel. Well, I mean, we've done 2 videos, but
yeah, we're getting there.
And in addition to subscribing to the channel, also be sure to hit that like button and comment down below your thoughts on the latest episode of Mare of Easttown. So
yes, please do. Love the comments.
Yeah, always love engaging with the comments, and turn on those bells. Also turn on those bell notifications. So how do you want to get into this? I'll let you kind of lead the way. I'll let you start it off. So what do you want to talk about?
So yeah, so episode 3, we were kind of left with Mare forced to take a leave of absence because she planted drugs on her daughter-in-law. If you want to go into why she did that.
Yeah, pretty much just because, you know, her daughter-in-law and son, they had a kid that's her grandchild. She's trying to keep custody of him, and
because the son is dead. Spoiler.
Yeah, the daughter-in-law is trying to get custody of the kid as well because she's his mom. Obviously, she wants the kid, but to keep this from happening, Mare plants drugs on her. And a very dirty move, and she kind of tampers with police evidence to do it. So that's kind of how she gets caught. And yeah, she's taken off the force. Episode 3, Mare is no longer a detective.
So yeah, and then opening up with episode 4, we kind of see Mare just dealing with her new life.
She's going through a hard time.
Yeah, you can tell she's definitely struggling with this forced leave of absence. And
well, just Mare as a character right now, what we know of her, she's a workaholic. Like she lives in her work. That is everything to her. That's her life. So now that's been taken away. She does not know
how to not do something.
Yep.
So yeah, we see her kind of coping with that. And then she has this nice little scene with her friend at the park. And, you know, her friend is kind of just, you know, being open and honest with her, saying, you know, you're pushing people away. You need to be careful. You're going to lose, you know, everyone. And I think that even with, you know, Mare being the kind of, you know, that hard shell that she has, I think she kind of took it to heart a little bit.
She definitely feels like she bounces back pretty quickly.
Right. And resilient.
I think what helps is the fact that she does exactly what the chief tells her not to do. She goes right back in with Evan Peters actually investigating the case, which...
Right, but that's later.
Yeah, is what usually happens in these kind of stories.
Right, and you kind of called that. You're like, you know what happens in those cop movies.
It's an old trope in every cop movie. When the cop gets taken off the case, they always get back in it.
They're still working the case behind the scenes.
Yeah, it always happens. Yeah, there's just a lot of things going on in this episode. We have Evan Peters, who's still investigating. He comes in and finds out Mare's been taken off the case, and he's kind of shocked. And there's this new guy that's his boss, and he's telling him to to get him coffee, and he's like, "Get your own coffee," and then he walks out.
Right, even though like he gets coffee for Mare, so
yeah. And then he's investigating the deacon who, at the end of episode 3, I know you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, at the end of episode 3, something, pretty huge that happens is we see him dump a bike into like a river or whatever. And so, we were already a little suspicious of him. He was kind of on our radar. And then, seeing that, you're like, whoa, okay, he's definitely not looking too innocent right now. So,
but yeah, he's basically interrogating him outside of the church, and talking about his past at the other place and how he was
transferred,
being investigated for misconduct with another minor girl,
like a 14-year-old.
And so he's got a past. He's got something going on with his past. So it definitely puts him in the prime suspect spot right there.
I don't feel like he's starting to kind of break a little bit.
They're definitely setting you up to think that it's him, which always makes you suspicious of the fact that, well, if they're making you think that that's the killer, then he's probably not the killer. It's probably something else. Getting into something else, a new girl was taken this episode.
Yes,
there was another girl that was abducted, and it wasn't like she was just straight abducted. She's like, we got some new information. Yeah, we got some new information, a common theme between all the girls that have been abducted. So apparently they're prostitution. Yeah, creating some kind of profile on this prostitution website, and they're prostituting themselves out for money. It's called Side Door. Yeah, sidedoor.com. And there's, at first we don't understand, we don't know that the other girls are involved in this as well, but we learn about it through this girl. And then we learn of the girl that was killed in the beginning. She was in it. Her friend created the profile for her. And then the girl that's still missing, Katie, she had a profile on there as well. So that's the common theme between them. They're all in the prostitution ring. We also, I guess for the first time, got to see like the... we don't know if he's a killer or if this. We got to see the capture in action. Yeah, in action, and we got to see like kind of the shape. It's definitely a guy. Like we know it's a guy. So that's one thing that we can rule out. Unless it's like a woman with her hair tied back. Multiple people that are working also could be the case. So but it looks like a bigger built. Yeah, like I said, man. he could be maybe the muscle of the operation. There might be somebody else behind it. I don't think that's the case. I feel like it's going to be one person that's the guy, but I don't know. It could be multiple ones, but then we also got Mare and grief counseling with a cute little scene with her and her grief counselor talking. Yeah, this was also part of her, forced leave of absence. Her boss, the chief, he required that she take grief counseling to kind of deal with the death of her son that she hasn't ever really dealt processed with. Right. Yeah. And this is all kind of to just like, I feel like a cover to kind of like make it look good to the public, because I think, the chief is really on her side. You can tell that they're very close, and he really wanted to help her out, because if it were anyone else, he would have, fired her and let her go. Yeah. But do you think that maybe the chief is involved somehow? Maybe that he took her off the case because he wants to slow down her progress? Because that's something that I think about. But really, I don't really think it's him. Yeah, like, he's not high on my suspects list, but it's definitely a coincidence. Your mind's always working. You're always like, who's could be involved in this? It's what makes us a good mystery. It could be someone that we don't even know yet, or it could be a completely random person that we've never met. Sometimes that happens in these kind of shows. Yeah, it is always kind of fun when you find out that it's someone that you've been watching, but then it can also be good when you don't know the person either. So yeah. And let's get to the big subplot scene that was kind of a big scene of the episode, and that's the girl, her daughter, Siobhan. Is that what you say? Siobhan. I think it's Siobhan. Yeah. So like we mentioned, she broke up. She let us know that she broke up with her.
I would say probably longtime girlfriend.
Girlfriend because she was interested in the radio DJ girl that was introduced a couple episodes ago.
Right. And also, though, I think that the girlfriend is a little immature. She's like doing drugs and just not being like serious because they're like in a band together or something.
Yeah, it was a girl that she'd been with since probably middle school or something.
Yeah.
She never grew up.
Right. So they break up. But the ex-girlfriend, she stops by the house. The what's her name? Siobhan. She's not home because she's out with her like new little girl toy.
Yeah, and the grandma lets her in.
The grandma, it's a really funny scene, I think worth mentioning. The grandma, which her name is Helen in the show, she is trying to enjoy her ice cream. We get like this little scene of her opening, like she has this bag of frozen like vegetables, and I'm like, frozen vegetables?
Yeah.
And
definitely gave me flash forward vibes of you in like 20 years. It's going to be you doing that kind of stuff for 30.
Well, it's actually a really good idea, especially if you have kids, But anyway, I haven't even said what she did, but she opens up the frozen vegetables and she has ice cream hidden inside, right? Genius.
Yeah, genius.
And so she's about to enjoy her yummy ice cream, and she gets a knock at the door, and it's the ex-girlfriend, and she's upset, and she's like, can I come in? I really want to talk to Siobhan. I don't want to lose her. And the grandma's kind of like, well, does she know?
Whatever.
Yeah, she's like, does she know you're coming over? And the girl is like, yeah, even though she doesn't. Goes down in the basement to wait for her.
Yeah, and then they come home. The girl and the other girl start making out, and then she sees them, and she freaks out, starts screaming, and runs. Right as the grandma's at the door, she pops open the door and hits the grandma, knocks her out cold.
Knocks the grandma out,
and the ambulance comes, and then Mare comes home, and she's freaking out, like, what happened? And then, it's a significant scene, but again, I don't know exactly where this plot is going, like where her daughter and her friend is going to come into play in this whole murder mystery angle. But I guess it was entertaining enough to where if it's just a subplot and it doesn't really matter, I'm fine with it being in there. It didn't really bring down the episode for me too much. But so let's talk about Mare and the daughter-in-law, because we get a little bit more in depth of like what they were like her and her son before he committed suicide.
Yeah, up until this point, we don't really have like a very good understanding of like the relationship between, Mare and the daughter-in-law and really her son that's, committed suicide. And
we heard from the last episode that her son hated her.
Right, which was told by the daughter-in-law.
Yeah, but it was kind of a skewed perspective, because now he hated her, but it was because she wasn't going to give him money for drugs. Is basically what we learned in this episode. Right, so we get this like really like, how would you describe it? Just like raw, emotional. Seeing Mare in a state that we don't usually see her. She was very like.
You can tell that this was. We know that he's been, I think, passed away for like 2 years. So it was, we're not really quite sure how long ago it was, but you can tell she looks a little different. Mare does. Her hair's different. But yeah, so we get this flashback, and it's the son and the daughter-in-law. Yeah, you can tell that they are on drugs. They're addicts. They're trying to steal money from Mare. Mare says that she doesn't have any.
It's a very raw and emotional scene, but yeah, we did definitely learn more about their past relationship, and
you definitely feel for Mare.
If that scene was accurate, I mean, it could be like, I don't know.
I'm
assuming that that's an accurate scene and it was an appropriate or an accurate flashback, but it could be like from her perspective, maybe things were totally different, because the daughter seems to really love her brother and have good memories of her brother. So I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, as of right now, I feel like it's probably a pretty accurate, depiction of what they were like. Because, that's the reason why the daughter-in-law doesn't even have custody of her son right now, is because she's a recovering addict. So, which is why Mare doesn't want to, give up the grandson, because she knows what they were like and what they've been like. So, Yeah, that was a very, I feel like, important scene. And then something else big that happened is that we find out Dylan is not the father of, we get the DNA results back from the baby, which is the girl's baby that's been murdered. We find out that the dad isn't who we thought it was. And so now there's, that's another whole element of mystery. We don't know if it's connected to the murder, if that ties together or not.
We get this scene where he has a pillow and the baby's screaming, and I guess he's good to walk now somehow. He gets up and walks towards the baby with a pillow, and you think that something really bad's going to happen, and then he just picks the baby up. And he feels like he's kind of accepted the fact that he's not the father, and maybe he's going to fulfill the dad role, at least for now. And then we got Dawn, the woman with cancer, the mother of Katie.
Yes, the girl that's been missing for who knows how long.
Yeah, getting a phone call which says, "We have your daughter. Bring us $5,000 and we'll give her back to you."
Right.
And she's advised by everybody that she knows, her friends, everything, to not do it, to not go through with it because it's probably a trick. It's a scam. Somebody's trying to get money from her. And she does it anyway.
She still goes, but she was smart and she didn't take money.
No, she didn't.
Took fake money. It was like cut up. It was
like
little bill.
It was cut up of her flyer, of the daughter's flyer.
To fill like money in the bag. She also took a gun, so that was smart. She goes to the location and you find out that the person who has lured her there, lured her there, is one of her friend's brother, who is also I guess, recovering addict. That seems to be, a lot of people are struggling with addiction in this town for sure. Yeah. And so, he takes the reason that we know is because he takes the mask off to look. He realizes there's no money in there. And they make eye contact, and he's like, I'm sorry, Dawn, and he runs off. A lot going on. If, hopefully you've been watching the shows and you know everything that we're talking about, and it all makes sense to you. Getting
into the final big spoiler, and again, if you've already watched this whole thing without watching this episode, then what is wrong with you? But the girl's captured at the end. That girl that gets captured in the middle of the show, she's brought to a location. It looks like some kind of a warehouse or something.
Right.
Maybe
there's like a mattress.
I don't know.
Mattress on the floor.
She gets thrown in a cell, and she looks over in the corner, and there is Katie, which is the girl that's been missing for, I don't know, months.
Which is the mom that was just trying to meet up with someone. Because
Katie's in the corner, and she says, "Why are you screaming? Nobody can hear you."
Nobody can hear you.
Something to that effect,
she's been in there a while. She's looking a little rough. You can.
Yeah,
you can tell.
She's been there a while.
She's been there a while. And I think that's kind of where it cuts, isn't it?
So one thing that we're learning now is that Erin, who's the girl that got murdered at the end of the first episode, she got killed. So the first girl got captured and this girl got captured. So what happened to Erin that she got killed and the other two just got captured?
Right.
So does that mean that it's somebody different, maybe, that's involved in both things? Or was it just an accident?
Yeah, there are still a lot of unanswered questions for sure.
So, two people that were noticeably absent this episode. One's Frank, David Denman, and then you have Kenny, who's Erin's father. So they weren't in this episode. And Guy Pearce was in it for a little bit. He was at the college campus with
Mare.
And does that mean anything? Does that mean that they're involved in the killings or whatever? I don't know. Kenny would probably have a hard time kidnapping because he's in prison. Yes. But it's David Denman. Is he still a suspect? I don't know. We can get into I created kind of a suspect ranking list. I don't know if you're going to want to partake in this with me, but let me see what you think. So my top 3 suspects, and maybe we'll update this week to week as we go, but my top 3 suspects right now on this show is Deacon Mark. That guy has just killer,
guilty written all over his
rapist, just written all over his face, especially with his past and all the reveals we got this episode and with the bike and everything.
Right.
So he's the top suspect for me at this point. Then we got Richard, who is Guy Pearce. Again, it's a little convenient that he came into the town exactly when all this stuff happens. And usually with this stuff, a lot of the times it's the person that's the closest to the main character. That's
True.
the killer. So that's kind of what tips me off with him. And then I've got Frank is my number 3. I think he's kind of unlikely at this point because we've already went through a whole thing with him.
Right.
But I think he can still be a suspect for sure. So
all right.
Would that be your top 3 or would you bring in anybody else on that list?
Oh gosh. So there is a cousin, which
Of Kenny.
Yeah, so the cousin of Kenny, which is the dad of the girl who got murdered,
Aaron.
We've only seen him very briefly in little spurts here and there. But just in the few that I've seen him, for some reason, I just have a bad feeling about him.
Yeah.
And we also got, at the end of this episode, we got some, what do you want to call them? Previews of the episodes to come, because there's only, 3 left?
Yeah.
3 left. And they showed something.
Thing at the end, only 3 episodes left.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was a preview that they showed really quickly of him kind of like fumbling with something. And so that like really like got me even more suspicious of him. So he's kind of high up on my radar personally. I agree with you on the deacon.
And again, and if it is Kenny's cousin, could that mean that he's involved too? And maybe it is all of the cousins doing this together. Maybe it is like a group thing.
Or, what if it's Mare's friend's husband? We've kind of
seen... I mean, he's one of the cousins.
Right, that's right.
He's one of the cousins.
He is.
Yeah, so what if it's all 3 of them working together again?
Right.
They're not on my list yet. I still don't think it's them, but I'm solid with my top 3. But
yeah, and I mean... this just came to me actually like right this moment, but there was also a scene in the show where Mare's friend and her husband were on the bed and their son walked in and he saw those girls up on the screen. He kind of acted a little weird now that I think about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that could just be, like he's a teenager and like maybe he went to school with them or something like that.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of thinking that might be... It might be a kid. It might be kind of like defending Jake.
I don't know. That's
really pushing it. But it just
the
came
person that
to
we
me.
saw, the figure was a lot bigger.
That's true. I'm sure.
Maybe the kid's pulling the strings. Who knows?
Doubtful,
but let's get into our score of this episode, because we didn't score the last 3 episodes. We meant to do that because we wanted to start scoring by episode. And yeah, we're going to score out of a 5. Yep. So for what I would give this episode, I would give it a 4 out of a 5. I think it's a really solid episode. I thought it advanced the plot nicely.
Right.
It solved a few things. It gave us some answers, but also set up a fair amount of questions as well. So what would you give this out of 5?
I'm going to, believe it or not, I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Really? That's shocking.
Yeah.
That's very shocking.
I hate to do it, but I'm going to go 4 out of 5 too. Yeah.
It wasn't amazing. Again, the subplot I don't think took away, but it took up a lot of space in this episode. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't go anywhere, then it is kind of wasted space, but I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one. It was a great episode though. Very, like I was into the episode for sure. And like I said, those previews that we got for the next 3 episodes,
it's going to be nuts.
It looks very intense and a lot going on, and I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the best shows going on right now, guys. Again, if you guys haven't watched this yet and you're watching this right now, I don't know how you do it, or if you just don't care about spoilers, who knows? Or if you just like hearing us talk and you have no intention of watching the show, I don't know. But definitely watch this show. It's one of the best shows that I've seen this year that we've watched. Think of episode 4. What did you think of episode 1 through 3 if you haven't watched them until now?
Yeah, go watch our first video where we talked about those and leave a comment there.
Yep, let us know in that comment section below. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already for more great TV and movie coverage. And we'll see you later.
That's gonna do it, guys. Yep. Bye.